Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Remember, if someone was abused, it doesn't mean that that abused can break the law. It still has to follow the law. Remember, if you were attacked, you defend yourself, but there's a limit of your self-defense. Otherwise, you can commit, genocide and other crimes against humanity and crimes of war crimes under the circumstances. So you can't do that. So if, let's say, a country is attacked, it can't, conduct certain kind of operations that would, be labeled as genocide, for instance, which is exterminating a group of people, because those are those kind of people, or commit war crimes and so on. I think we are all agree with that. The problem is, if we agree with that, we can't be selective in when we agree and when we don't agree. Now, remember, the Russians put this conflict in Israel with the conflict in Ukraine, and you're going to realize how a double standard is used sometime. Remember when the Russians bombarded the infrastructure, the Ukrainian infrastructure, the energy infrastructure? That means left population, the civilian population, without electricity. A lot of people call that genocide, and still call it genocide, by destroying, civilian targets as kindergartens, schools, hospitals. Remember, that's been all over in the past 1 year and a half. Allegedly, the Russians did, and they call this a genocide. So, let me show you this article here that is very concerning. And the problem is, these guys are going to state what they're going to do, and they did it. So the Russians did not say, you know what, we're going to attack civilian infrastructure. They say, we're going to destroy energy infrastructure that affects this and affects that, not the civilians. Now, that's kind of impossible, but nevertheless, let me show you this article. This article comes from Yahoo News, and I didn't pick it because of the title. I picked it because of the first sentence below the title and the body of the article. So, Israel-Hamas conflict live updates. Death toll reaches 1,500, including 9 U.S. citizens. Now, 1,500 all victims, or is just certain kind of victims? We're going to find out, correct? Israel's defense minister has ordered and I'm quoting, complete siege of the Gaza Strip in response to the weekend attacks. Remember, or at least the way I see things, and I might be wrong, it was not Gaza declaring war and the people of Gaza declaring war to Ukraine, to Israel. Were they? I thought it was an organization that some call terrorists, some call differently, militants and whatever. Those were the guys that attacked, not Gaza and not the civilians, correct? Now, Hamas is in Gaza? Yes, there is in Gaza. Like you have organizations in the United States of America. You're not going to attack the United States of America, would you? Well, complete siege, so they don't care. Well, I understand to a certain point your revenge, your pathos, and you want to solve problems, but let me show you what they do next, and that's very concerning. Here, Israel formally declared war on Hamas. Hamas on Sunday followed unprecedented and here it is, the statement that really concerns me a lot. And I'm quoting, I have ordered a complete siege on the Gaza Strip. Not that bad. Defense Minister Gallant said Monday, and this is concerning. There will be no electricity, no food, no fuel. Everything is closed. We are fighting human animals, and we are acting accordingly. Well, what would that make you if you use the same tactic? Wouldn't that make you the same thing as you claim your enemies are? So, more than 2 million Palestinians live within the area. That's roughly the size of Washington, D.C., and have little ability to move due to the blockade that's been in place since 2007. So, no electricity, no food, no fuel for the whole Gaza. Not for Hamas, for the Gaza. Now, that is an Palestinian enclave, Palestinian people, that Israel, for the whole thing, all of them, regardless, children, old people, Palestinians that support certain things, Palestinians that do not support certain things, they lump them together. Now, if you know anything about the Old Testament, they have the so-called collective punishment over there. It's something that goes, if so you did something, I think, to your 7th generation, you will be guilty of that. So 7 generations, I think, it back. So let's say I commit a certain kind of crime, my family would be guilty of that crime 7 generations without doing anything. My son did not do anything, my daughter, my grandson, my granddaughter, and so on. But they will be guilty under this. Very strange. The Romans don't have that. We don't have that. The Western civilization, we don't have that. If I commit a crime, I'm, and how should I put it, responsible for my own actions, and my children, my family will not be affected. So here it seems like they lump all this, as they call them, human animals. Now let's go to that one. When you dehumanize human animals, is not quite, how should I put it? When you, I don't know how to say it because it's so ridiculous. That guy in the 1920s, 1930s, and early 1940s, he claimed that the Slavic people were not really, and then the Jews were not really, That's what he claimed. They were not really people, and we're like, this guy says that those guys, the Palestinians, are human animals. Remember that ideology, bad ideology, right? Nazi. They called people like Gallant, Yoav Gallant, all kind of bad names. They call them pests, rats, all kind of fleas and so on, degrading them so it sounds a little bit more for them acceptable to commit crimes that they committed. So what's the next step, Mr. Yoav? You imposed a blockade from 2007 on 2 million people, and the Americans were okay with that, were they? They didn't do anything. They didn't impose anything. They didn't say anything. So you see, it's very strange. That is, for instance, why you have bad people saying, America did this to us, then we're going to attack the Twin Towers and all that. And people say, well, it was civilians. Yeah, but they say, but those civilians are Americans, and Americans vote for those guys that hurt us here. And these guys say, you know what? Hamas hurt us, and since Hamas hurt us, we're going to hurt the whole Palestinians in Gaza. Regardless, civilians, military, good people, bad people, human animals. And besides, if you think you're superior, or at least you have decency, you don't act like that and expect to be called differently. That's just my assessment. So they don't have no electricity, no food. That means they're going to fucking die, okay? No food, that means what? Starvation, correct? Correct. No electricity, what does that mean? No fuel. Everything is closed, he said. I guess if they can turn off the air will not come to Gaza. I didn't hear anybody in the free world saying anything about it. I mean, I'm okay with, complete siege of Gaza. You go over there and you take house by house and you figure out who's who and get and solve the problem. But that? Do you support that? Do you support that? If you support that, put that into the Russian context and Ukraine, or put it against you and see how you support someone else saying the same things about you without being guilty of anything. Unless you think that all the Palestinians in Gaza are guilty, which I don't think so. Anyway, my friends, here it is. Strange. So in the name of self-defense, you're gonna commit this kind of act? I guess he doesn't give a fuck. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.